There's a magnificent quote that I shared this week with my mastermind members by Jason Pomeroy, the founder, the original founder of PayPal. And the quote states, "Happiness isn't something we find. Happiness is something that's left over after we get rid of all the things in our life that make us unhappy." I'm going to say that again. Happiness isn't something we find. Happiness is something that's left over after we get rid of all of the things in our life that make us unhappy. Think about that one, write that one down, keep it beside your desk, write it in your journal. This is why I talk about curating, swift sorting, and cutting the rope with everything and anything that's toxic in your world. It's not about, world building is not about adding things. World building for me has always been about subtracting things. World building has never been about saying yes to more things. My experience, world building, personal sovereignty is created by saying no to almost everything. To saying no to almost everything. As the great Jim Camp, the world's most feared negotiator, in his book states, no to almost everything. Warren Buffett, the great financial badass Warren Buffett. The secret is we say no to almost everything. Buffett and his partner Charlie Munger talk about on their desk they have 3 boxes. They have 3 boxes. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have 3 boxes. An inbox, an outbox, and a too difficult box. If they don't understand it, they don't touch it. If they think it's a dog with fleas, they don't touch it. If it's difficult and hard and unprofitable, they don't touch it. They have an inbox, they have an outbox, and they have a too damn hard box. And they say no to almost everything. Charlie Munger, his partner who's in his 90s, said you would be underwhelmed if you watched him and Warren go through a typical day. Everybody says, man, I'd like to follow you guys around. You know, 2 of the most successful investors in history. It must be amazing to see what you guys do in a day. And Charlie Munger said, all you would see is 2 old guys walking around talking each other out of bad deals. All you would see would be 2 old men walking around talking each other out of making bad deals. No. Happiness is about subtraction. Also on happiness has become the experts industry, right? It's become an industry of happiness, as if we're entitled to happiness, right? Well, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to have a happy marriage. You deserve to have a happy family. You're entitled to be happy. And like the mental health industry and like all these created industries, I mean, it's all bullshit. I mean, I say be relentless. I say relentlessly chase your mission, relentlessly trace your goals, relentlessly live your values. And if you have progress, if you progress every day in your life, as Tony Robbins says, if you're growing and you're contributing, you're going to be incredibly happy most of the time. If you're growing as a person, getting better, and you're contributing, you're serving other people, you're going to be incredibly happy. In all his years of experience, Robbins has it down to those two things. Happiness equals progress. Progress equals happiness. If you're getting better and you're sharing and serving others, you're going to be incredibly happy. I've never seen happiness. I've never had happiness as a goal on my plate. I've always said, be relentless. My goal is to be relentless, to chase my mission, to chase my goals, to improve, to get better, and always serve other people. I've always served other people through coaching, through books, newsletters, coaching kids, volunteering, working with charities. And when I'm at the peak of my powers, when I'm having an amazing week or an amazing month or even an amazing year, it's because I'm growing during that time more than normal and I'm serving more people. And when I'm in a slump or things aren't going my way, or I'm not getting the breaks, or I'm not as magnetic to success or magnetic to money, I just have to look at the man in the glass, and I'm not growing and I'm not contributing. So it's an easy fix. How much are you growing today? Are you getting 0.0001% better today? Are you killing off the old version of yourself and becoming the best man, an elite husband, an elite father, an elite grandfather? Are you an elite entrepreneur? And are you an elite community leader? Man, you chase that championship every day and you serve others by sharing your journey, you're going to be an incredibly happy person. So happiness is an entitlement. It's not something that we find. As Jason says, it's something that we're left with when we get rid of all the things in our world that make us unhappy. I've put up a lot of zeros. I've curated and cut the rope and swift sorted a lot of people in my life, a lot of toxic substances in my life, and a lot of toxic things to end up with the so-called happiness or solitude, I call it personal sovereignty, that I have today. Any happiness or any personal sovereignty that I enjoy today is because it's what I curated. It's what I cut the rope with. It's what I said no to. There's very few things that I've added that have added personal sovereignty, that have increased my freedom or independence. Jason's been right. It's been about saying no. It's not been about saying less. It's been saying the word no. That's what it's been about. So some real world examples for you to consider. So things that, I found even more happiness after I curated things out of my life that were no longer serving me. And you have to look at your life and you have to look at the people in it, the employees, friends, family, food, the inputs, cell phones, technology, where you live, your environment, your state, your country, your town, your city. And you have to look at everything and say, does this serve me? Is this part of my new championship world? Some of the things that I curated and broke up with that have made a significant difference in my life. Number one is breaking up with alcohol, the poison of alcohol. I stopped drinking in late December, 14 months ago. So just after Christmas in 2021, which is close to 14 months, I just made a decision to break up with alcohol for good. So I don't buy alcohol, I don't drink alcohol, I don't hang around heavy drinkers. That ship has sailed. That's all in the rearview mirror. And I don't judge people that drink. I've spilled more whiskey off my chin than you've drank in your entire life. So I had a lot of great times. I was a hard driving guy. I enjoyed, working extremely hard and sitting on the end of the dock or at the boat or enjoying, I drank rye and water. My dad did, my grandfather did. But just had to make a decision, just made a decision that there's it no longer serving me, no longer serving me. And it was chipping away at my life, chipping away at my world, chipping away at my marriage, my relationship with my daughter, my physical health, my mental health. I'd have some drinks on a Friday or a Saturday and I would be sick for up to 2 days. So that one single decision to break up with alcohol has made me more money and given me back more time than I ever imagined. It's the single most important decision I've made as a man, as an adult. I can't think of anything more important. Nothing has had more of a positive impact on my entire world. My family, my marriage, my mental health, my physical health, my marketing, my focus, my relationship with my creator, everything. I can't, like the money I've made with that single decision and the time that I've saved. I got my mornings back. I got my mornings back. I got my Saturday mornings back. I got my Sunday mornings back. I mean, I don't know, like, I if you're watching this video, you're not a kid anymore. And, drinking is a young man's game. I don't regret any of my days before that. I mean, I had a great time in university, I had a great time coaching hockey all those years. But alcohol and drugs, it's not a young man's game. And my body said to me, it said, you know what? You can't do this any longer. You can't do it any longer without being physically ill. So I turned my back on it. And I said no to it. And I broke up with it. And look what was left. Happiness, more happiness, if you wanted to use that term. I got rid of something. I said no to something. And I ended up with more happiness, more freedom, more independence, more autonomy, more personal sovereignty. I broke up with the mainstream news. I don't participate in any of that CNN or any TV general public news because it's designed as the indoctrination of the general public, right? News is for the bottom 80%. That news is for the bottom 80%. It's a training, it's mind altering, and it's a message for the bottom 80%. So my goal is to be a top 1% world builder. So really, it's not congruent anyway. So why would I have any access to that stuff? Why would I watch any of that? Where do I get my news? I get my news from 3 different sources off the grid. Basically, factual people that I respect. They would probably never be allowed on mainstream news, and that's where I keep up to date. But I don't really get immersed in any of it. I don't get immersed in professional sports anymore. I know who's playing on a Sunday. I know who's playing on a Saturday. I'll maybe watch the fourth quarter of a Alabama game. I may watch the fourth quarter of a Bills or Patriots game. I may watch the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, but I don't sit down like I used to and watch, 10 hours of football on a Sunday. I don't do it anymore. So I broke up with mainstream news. And I found more happiness and freedom. I broke up with anti-social media 2 years ago. I don't have any access to this stuff. I couldn't get on Facebook. I couldn't get on Twitter. I canceled all those accounts. I had Instagram. I canceled all that stuff. TikTok, whatever that garbage, toxic from, that's a company that's owned by, it's owned by a business owner operator from China. Where do you think that personal information is going? And they're being called on the carpet, but it's a little too late. So they're just harvesting American and Canadian information, personal information. So forget about privacy if you're involved in any of those swamps. So by breaking up with social media, taking it off my phone, taking it off my computer, not participating at all, the only thing I participate is in our locker rooms, which are not big tech. They're not fake book. I have 3 locker rooms, offline or online forums. I have one for my newsletter brothers. I have one for my world building mastermind members, and I have one for my champions. And that's the only online I do. So I broke up with all social media, anti-social media. And what was I left with? More happiness, more freedom, more peace of mind, more autonomy, and more personal sovereignty. I broke up with foods that make me older, tired, and low energy. So I switched my diet from, I had too many carbs, too much processed white sugar, the 3 evils: processed white sugar, processed white salt, and processed white flour. Those are the 3 evils. I don't care what your diet is. I only play a doctor in these videos. I'm not actually a medical doctor, but I have a real caveman's diet now that works for me. I eat 2 meals a day. I have water for breakfast. I have coffee for breakfast, and then I'll have a protein shake in the mid-morning. But I don't eat breakfast. Water for breakfast for me. I go as far into the day drinking water and coffee as I can. Then I have lunch. I'm in here in Florida. I'm having a big omelet. I'm having a 4 and 5 egg omelet every day for lunch, with some sausage in there, or some bacon, or some kind of meat, spinach, lots of greens, and that's my lunch, and I feel fantastic after lunch. And then last night, as an example, Krista barbecued these sausages, and we had green beans, we had steamed vegetables, carrots, and no carbs, and and we had some corn on the cob. So that was a wonderful dinner. So I've turned my back on the high carbohydrate diet. I've turned my back on the high white sugar and high white flour and high white salt. I've turned my back on that old school North American diet. And what do I've got more? I've gained energy, I've gained clarity, focus, peace of mind, I've gained time, I'm not tired anymore. I've lost weight, I feel better, I look better. So I've gained happiness, I guess, through saying goodbye. I broke up with foods that make me old, tired, and make me less than I am. So what else have I broken up with? I've broken up with politics. I used to be a political junkie like my dad. It's in our blood. My grandfather, he was a political junkie. My father, political junkie. And I was a political junkie for a while. Local politics. We're always talking about politics. For a while there, I was talking about a run for mayor in my community. We're into it, right? My brother is a lawyer with a degree in political science. He could have easily run for office and been successful. So we love the competition, but I just decided, like alcohol, I said, this stuff doesn't serve me anymore. I'm burning 2 hours a day of focus, following, the Bush campaign, or what's happening in the White House, or what's happening, what's being made up, and it's just not accurate anymore. So I do the same thing as I do with real news, is I have a handful of political writers that I follow, and that's it. But I don't get any political information from Goofy. I don't get any tomato can political information. I don't follow politics on, these fake news, CNNs of the world, or CNBC, or in Canada, CTV or CBC. None of that stuff. It's just garbage. So I get my political information by watching, by reading books. I've read all the great biographies on JFK. Reagan was a great one. My dad just got finished reading that massive Clinton one again. He reads them all. He doesn't care about the political bent. I love that. He learns from everybody. There's just that's where he gets his information. That's where I get my information. Really, really important. So that's just another example. Of course, you can add to that list toxic people, anything to do with toxic people. You have to remember that stuff will enter and exit your life all the time. Good morning. And you have to, you can curate and swift sword and cut the rope with a toxic employee or a toxic person. The big thing is stop spending time with them. If it's a family member or a cousin or an uncle or a high school buddy, you don't have to make a big deal about it. Guys say to me all the time, Michael, how can I do that? We've been friends forever. I'm like, just stop spending time. Stop spending so much time with that person. They're bitching and they're moaning and they're complaining about, their life. They're talking about, their injuring their knee in high school football, and they're 50 years old. Good morning. And just talking about all the problems in the world and stuff. You can't be around that. So just start spending less time. You don't even have to make an announcement or anything like that. Just get out of that stupid, goofy text group you have, or stop meeting for beers every Friday, or, that stuff. If it's not making you better, it's making you worse. But that's what I've done with old high school buddies or old guys I played hockey with. They don't know. They just all of a sudden notice that I'm not around anymore. Good morning. They just notice that, where's McLean kind of thing. There's no big deal, because when it comes to friends and family, that you got to tread lightly. And the way to do that is just stop spending time together. Just cut out all that time. Just, would you like to meet for a beer? I'm like, can't today. And all of a sudden the invitations stop, right? Then, I used to meet a guy for a beer every Friday if I wasn't coaching hockey. And now I don't do that. And I don't miss it. Man, I don't miss it at all. So I'm doing something. I have family pizza night with my two favorite people in the world, Krista and Emery. Are you kidding me? That's finding happiness. So just remember what Jason said there. I think that's a very valuable quote. Happiness isn't something you're going to find. And happiness is something you're left with when you get rid of all the things that make you unhappy. So ask yourself this question today, journal, write it down, think, take some time away from your iPhone and social media and all that trash, and ask yourself and answer that question. What are the things in my life right now? What are the things in my business world and my personal world that are making me unhappy? What is still in my world in this new year that's toxic, that no longer serves me? It could be gambling, it could be porn, it could be news, it could be politics. Maybe it's digital dementia. Maybe you're manufacturing your own mental health issues. If you're suffering from depression, you're suffering from anxiety, you're suffering from worry and stress and all those different things. Good morning. Then maybe you're manufacturing your own mental health, and it's time to put that phone away for good. One of the things I learned with my cell phone, and the great David Linton does this the best, is he says the best antidote for your cell phone is the off button. Not the airplane mode, or not trying not to look at it. He just shuts it off and leaves it at home. If he goes out on a date night, he shuts it off and leaves it at home. I'm famous for locking my phone in the trunk of my car. I made my hockey players do that. I made my insurance people do that. If they had to leave it in the car, or put it in their locker, or surrender it to my COO. At my insurance agency, my barbers had to put their cell phones in lockers. So willpower doesn't work with technology. It's too strong, it's too powerful, it's designed to be too strong and too powerful. And you don't want to be using your precious willpower on iPhone addiction. So if you're an iPhone junkie, the only way is to start shutting it off and leaving it at home. If you go to the grocery store, shut it off, leave it at home, and take an hour to go to the supermarket. If you're going on a date night, shut that fucking thing off and leave it. Your wife will probably want to bring hers. She'll have nobody to text to. And just go on your date for 2 or 3 hours and leave it at home. Nothing's going to change. The world is going to be the same when you get back. You go and play tennis or you go play a round of golf. Just shut it off and leave it at home. Or leave it in the trunk of your car where you can't see it, where you can't think about it, and where you can't access it. But that would be my number one recommendation when it comes to mental illness, manufactured mental illness of digital dementia. You're killing your prefrontal cortex. You are pouring gasoline, not in a good way. You are pouring gasoline on the front part of your brain, your creativity, your thinking, your prefrontal cortex, your imagination. All of a sudden you can't read books anymore. All of a sudden your focus is down to 3 seconds. All of a sudden you're anxious, you have panic attacks. All of a sudden you wake up and you're depressed, you got the blues. Guys say that to me all the time, Michael, I get the blues, and they blame it on winter, or they blame it on snow, or they blame it on, their empty nesters. And I'm like fuck. I said, you are a cell phone screen junkie. You are the exact result big tech wants. Mission accomplished. You've been buried in that phone on a screen for 25 years, now more than ever, and you're blaming your depression, your anxiety attacks, the blues that you have. You're blaming that. You're blaming that on winter, or you're blaming that on being an empty nester, or you're blaming that on the football season being over, or you're blaming that on your town or your community. Are you kidding me? That's manufactured. Own it and fix it. So just keep that, take an inventory of your entire, good morning. Take an inventory of your entire world and decide what has to go, and start just swift sorting it all. Swift sorting it all. If there's a toxic employee, if there's a cancer in your life, how do you get rid of cancer? You don't just treat it, you cut it out. You cut that shit out of your body. That's the way, the only way. So it's the same with anything toxic in your body, is cut it out. So remember that quote. Man, that's a good one. It's a writer downer. Happiness isn't what we discover. Happiness is what we're left with after we get rid of everything in our world that makes us unhappy. That's it for today. If you want some help making any of this happen in your world, if you need help world building, taking these ideas I shoot, ideas in my book, if you need help making it happen, first of all, buy my book at nobullbook.com. That's step number one. nobullbook.com. Get a copy of my physical book. Secondly, the second thing to do is to join my newsletter, monthly newsletter, Michael McLean World Building Letter, Brotherhood. It's $3.23 a day, and I ship you my paper and ink newsletter every month to your home. $3.23 a day. A bum on the street could afford that. Panhandling. Go to BadAssLetter.com. BadAssLetter.com. $97 a month. And I produce a 24 page newsletter. Physical, it's paper and ink. I'm a tree killer. And when you get that, the third thing to do is apply for my World Builders Mastermind. No travel, no hotels, 100% online. We meet for 2 hours every Wednesday. We do hot seats, we do marketing, we do money, My goal of that mastermind is to move you from top 5%, from 5-figure income to 6-figure income, to as high as 7-figure income. You're a top 5%er. My goal in that year is to 2x your world, 5x your world, so that you get from 5 to 6 to 7 and you become a top 1%er like my champions. To apply for the World Building Mastermind, go to BadAssWorldBuilders with an S.com. BadAssWorldBuilders.com. My business partner, Mark Andre, will be so proud of me getting that domain correct. You know, I don't put an S on it. So it took a French Canadian like Mark Andre to correct me 10 times. And then I finally got it. Worldbuilders with an S.com. I was probably sending them to some government site. And guys were signing up for creepy Joe Biden's newsletter instead of mine. Talk about a leadership vacuum in our world right now. Look at like, you're a coach and you're a leader, you're a CEO like me, you're the CEO of your family. Talk about a vacuum of kings in our world. Are you kidding me? Look around. I talk to my daughter about this all the time. Where have all the kings gone? Where have all the queens gone? Like, talk about pathetic leadership. Like, let's break it down for a minute. Look at this is what happens in your house matters. What happens in the White House matters little. There's going to be pro-business, there's going to be anti-business, there's going to be, you know, a focus on capitalism for a while, then a focus on socialism. It just goes back and forth, right? In Canada, we had the Stephen Harper government for 12 years fixing all the bloated spending of the liberal governments for years, and then they get in and they undo it all. My dad's watched it for 90 years. He's like, these clowns, it's clown world. He says, just focus on yourself, run your own race. He says, you can't spend your energy on that stuff. That's why I've curated politics out of my world. And look at in the White House, like the guys, you know, creepy Joe gets in there and doesn't have a clue. Shame on the people for propping him up and putting him in there. That party, the Democratic Party, for putting him up there at that age. And also, you know, for how he got elected. That's no mystery. But my God, you know, it's just undoing everything the person did before and vice versa. And just absolutely the worst leadership you could ever imagine. You see mediocre leadership in the NFL with losing franchises. The owner's a weak leader, hires weak leaders as coaches. It just goes on. And you see it in all pro sports. There's leaders, but not very many of them. Like, where have the kings and queens gone? So if you can be a king and you can teach your children to be kings and queens, man, what an exciting time to be alive. What an exciting time to be alive. I just can't think of a more opportunistic, nice grammar, time to be alive than now in 2023. Trillions of dollars of rivers of money. Every day I try to stand in that stream. Rivers, trillion-dollar rivers of money. My job as an entrepreneur is to stand in those rivers, to get in the way of money. I want to stand in the ocean of money. I don't want to go down with a tablespoon. I want to go down with a tanker truck, because the universe, or my creator, that doesn't care how much I take. A rising tide helps raise all boats. So the better I do, the better everybody else in my world does. So it's just, how can you not be bullish on 2023? We have winter coming. We're going to have a thinning of the herd over the next 3 years minimum, and the doomsdayers are out. And I'm just like, man, time to make hay. Time to put the hay in the barn like never before. Time for you to make money like never before. If you're working 1x pace now, get it up to 25x pace. Like, make as much money as you can during this winter as you possibly humanly can. Work harder, work smarter, market more, just balls to the wall, everything. And then after 3 years, evaluate and say, okay, You know, I've made a whole bunch of cash, the whole deal. Like, now is the time to get busy building. When everybody is at home hiding under their bed with 3 masks on, scared of what's going to happen, you know, engrossed in the news. I'm like, get out there and market like crazy. Double your marketing budget. That's what we're doing. We're 10xing our marketing budget. We're 10xing our everything that we're doing. Like, just balls to the wall. Everybody's playing defense. We're going to be playing offense. Everybody's playing not to lose. We're going to play offense every single day. And there's never been a better time to play offense than now. And it's interesting, I've been buying magazine ads the last little while. Good morning. I've been buying magazine ads this last week, negotiating with big magazines. Like, I'm talking Worth Magazine, The Robb Report, Forbes, all the ultra affluent magazines. And, you know, a full page ad in these magazines is like $55K, $40K, $30K. And I've been negotiating all week. I love this stuff, right? I love trading. I love that from the hockey business. I love negotiating. I love dealing. I'm a deal maker. And I've been negotiating with these guys. This is for print magazines, nothing online, nothing digital. And I'm averaging about 70% off their rate card. Their rate card is what they advertise as the cost. So the Robb Report, which is the ultra affluent, that's my customer. My client is plus 45, married with children, top 5% earner, looking for help in a couple of areas. But like you, already successful, already a winner. Winners aren't losers. Just want more personal sovereignty, want to build more of your legacy, want to get from 5% to 1%, want to get from 1% to 0.1%. You're a cleaner, you're a rainmaker, you're a closer, you're a king. So full page ad in the Robb Report, 55 grand. And I got the guy down yesterday down to 15,000. That may seem like a lot of money, but you know, you ask the question, it's not how much does something cost, it's how much will something make you. I'm like, how many clients will that attract? How many books will that sell? How many newsletters will that sell? How many masterminds members will that attract? That's all that matters. The number doesn't matter. You know, I could waste $50 on an ad, and I could invest 50 grand and make. It's the ROI. That's all it is, the ROI. What you pay for something is irrelevant. That's the difference between abundance thinking and a scarcity thinking that I used to have, is like what something costs. The price of anything that costs is how much life you trade for it. Think about that for a second. That's a writer downer. How much does something cost? Well, something costs how much of your life you trade for it, because you only have finite time and you have finite energy. So when you talk about cost, it's like when we charter a jet here and we're here in 3.5 hours as opposed to 2.5 days. It's not, oh, Michael, how much does a charter jet cost? And I'm like, the ROI, baby. The ROI is that I can bring our dog. We can be here in 3.5 hours. We can bring our friends. And I don't spend 2.5 days on the road getting sick. 2.5 days it would take us with flights, and there's no commercial airlines into Naples. It's only private jets, so I'd have to fly into Fort Myers, then you have to get a car from there. So my finite time. But the big part of something costing is the ROI is not just money, how much time. What something costs is how much of your life did you exchange for it. You're out there cutting your grass, you're out there cleaning your pool, you're out there trimming your hedges. Down here in Naples, we're in one of the nicest neighborhoods, beautiful people, really, really nice area here. They take care of everything. Like, they cut your grass on Wednesday, they clean your pool on Monday. I don't have to lift a finger. All I have to do is write copy, write marketing, work on sales, work on things that bring us money. So that's stuff to curate out of your life. Also is stuff that's You know, if you love cutting your grass, well, go ahead and cut your grass. But understand you're trading your life for that. And it's not bringing you any money, right? That's $15 an hour work. So just other stuff to keep in mind as you pursue progress and happiness. And cut out the things in your world that make you unhappy. I went a little over there. I went crazy on that. Oh well, it's my show, it's my walk. I have to be out here. I'm out here for 70 minutes. So when these videos are over, I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta walk for another 30 minutes. So sometimes I'm talkative and sometimes I'm not. The reason I shoot long videos, they're not, why are they long? Videos, people always ask me that, clients, here I go again. They always like, Michael, an ad or a sales letter or a video or a webinar, they're always like, what's too long or too short? And I'm like, in marketing, there's no such thing as too long or too short. A newsletter, a webinar, a video like this, a website, there's nothing. So there's no such thing as too long or too short. There's only too boring. That's it. So I can shoot a 3-minute video that would bore you to tears, and that's a loser. That's a dog with fleas, right? Or I can shoot like one of my best videos is the one I talk about manufactured mental illness by poodle parents. I shot it about a week ago. You can go back and look at it. It's just child abuse by gutless parents, child neglect and child abuse. They give their 5-year-old a phone, they give their 10-year-old a phone, they give their 12-year-old a phone, and they wonder why they've lost their child. You know, they're losers aren't winners, right? They checked out, they tapped out as parents. They tapped out. Here, kid, get on a screen, I'm busy. Here's a screen for my infant, I'm busy. I tapped out as a man. I tapped out on that, and now the horse is out of the barn, and now they're scrambling, right? My kid's depressed. My kid doesn't know whether they're a boy or a girl. My kid's got bad friends. My kid's being bullied. My kid is a bully. My kid has no attention span. My kid hates school. My kid doesn't have any ambition anymore. Good morning. It's just over and over again. And it's like, wow, your kid's been on a screen since the day they were born. That falls at your feet. Fix that fucking problem. I don't really forget what I was even talking about. There's no such thing as too long or too short, just too boring. So a 30-minute video, which I usually shoot, it's all about, is it interesting, and is it, they always say, what does an email get opened? The great Frank Kern taught me this years ago, where, emails don't get opened, right? With your emails, you have a 90% failure rate. So 90% of people, if you're good, they don't open your email, right? You send an email to your client list, 90% never open, never read. We're at about 70% failure rate, sometimes 80. So I get 30%. I get 30% of people to open my email on a good day. So that's 70% of people say, I'm not opening it. They've never seen a video. Like, it's massive failure, right? It's 70%, mostly 80. Good morning. So you see that all the time. So nonetheless, Frank said, Michael, if you want to get the best open rate you can to get your emails consumed and opened, he said, number one, you have to be the most interesting thing in their email box that day. So one, interesting. Before you send it, is it the most interesting? And secondly, the most relevant. Is this relevant today? Man, I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about happiness and cutting the rope. And you have to do things in an interesting way. So there's your marketing pro tip for the day. Is that email, is your newsletter, is your fax, is your post, whatever it is you're sending, is it the most interesting thing they'll see that day? Because you're competing with, 30,000 messages in a day? Is it the most interesting? And secondly, is it the most relevant? Is it something they're already thinking about? Is it a pain in their life? Is it something that's in the news? Is it something that's in sports? Like today, a good example, Tom Brady's retired, right? Again. And I'm a huge Brady fan. I mean, cleaner, cleaner, cleaner. And like, if you want to be the most interesting and relevant, you could use Tom Brady's subject line and you're going to have one of your greatest open rates ever. In fact, you just gave me an idea. I'm going to use Tom Brady as my subject line for this email. And instead of getting 20 or 30% open, I guarantee you I'll bet you the biggest stake in Texas that I get open rates into the 40, maybe even 50%. Why is that? That's because it's all over the news. It's on everybody's mind. You call that water cooler conversation, where what are they, good morning, what are they talking about? What's on their mind? Celebrity is a huge interest. Celebrity has great relevance for most people. So I'm going to use that subject line today. And I'll get more open rates, I'll get more views, and most importantly, I just want you to consume these. I want you to watch the videos. I don't give a shit whether you buy my book or subscribe to my newsletter. Like, I really don't. Like, I want to help a million men, but I don't even follow the sales. Like, Marc-Andre knows that stuff more than I do. Leanne knows that stuff more than I do. But as far as that stuff, like, just make sure you're a reader. I don't care if you read my book or you read somebody else's book, Tim Grover's book or Anthony Rowe, I don't care. And, if you don't subscribe to my newsletter, just make sure you subscribe to somebody else's newsletter. There's all kinds of great ones. Matt Fury has an awesome newsletter. Doberman Dan, my buddy, has a great newsletter. There's off the grid newsletters. It doesn't have to be mine. And you need to be part of a mastermind. Man, Bill Glazier's mastermind changed my world. I wouldn't be walking. I wouldn't be living in Naples. I'd be living in Perth, still working in the insurance business. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Being around winners like that, I was the weakest person in the room. And 2 years at 30 grand a piece, so 60,000 American, which is close to 100 grand Canadian money. Justine Trudeau money. And my wife said, quit talking about winning and what you're going to do and go all in. Go all in. You have, go all in. Play to win. Play to win. I'm sick of listening to you playing defense and talking about, how not to lose. She said, go all in. You're like in the fetal position, I'm not happy with my insurance agency. I'm stuck at this level. And she's like, hey, you're not going to be a millionaire until you hang around millionaires. She goes, you're not going to be physically fit until you hang around people that are physically fit. She goes, you're not going to be one of the top 1% copywriters and marketers in the world until you start rubbing shoulders with the top 1% copywriters and marketers in the world. And my ride or die queen, Krista, she was right. I went in there, I put that $30,000 on a visa, prayed it went through. I was accepted into the mastermind. I was in there with Brunson and Michael Cage and Beth Davis and just on and on. Changed my life almost instantly. So I don't care if you're in my mastermind, just be in a mastermind. It's so huge. That's, Ford was in a mastermind with Carnegie, Rockefeller. They were the richest guys in America, but they were all in their own little mastermind together because it just iron sharpens iron, right? Iron sharpens iron. That's what a mastermind's about. Iron sharpens iron. My champions, iron sharpens iron. I share, Leanne shares, Marc-Andre shares, all the men share. It's just like printing money, printing personal freedom. Same thing with my world builders. Iron sharpens iron. These guys are on the hot seat. Rob Boyd yesterday, just game-changing ideas, pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, making them think differently. And every day now they get up and build the world. They're world builders now. They used to be businessmen. That's ordinary and average. Now they're world builders. What do you do for a living? I'm a world builder. Michael, what do you coach? You're a consultant. Yep. I'm a world building extremist, I tell them at the barbecues. Their eyes, they just take a step back. They're like, holy shit, what's with this guy? I'm a world building extremist. People here ask me in Naples, they'll introduce themselves because we're new in the neighborhood, right? So Michael, what do you do for a living? I never see you working, or you seem to always be sitting by your pool reading, and what's that all about? I'm a world building extremist. And if I really want to knock them back, if I really want to take Goofy to the woodshed, I tell him that I'm a world building supremacist. Boy, that's a trigger word right there. He doesn't know what world building means, and he really doesn't know what supremacist means, but because he's a CNN junkie, because he's an iPhone addict, I nail him with that one. So sometimes if I see somebody in front of me who's completely lost, completely checked out, I nail him with that one. Remember, I only have 3 seconds to work with, right? Like, you know, the average 45, 55-year-old man now has a 3-second, good morning, has a 3-second attention span. So I don't have much to work with right here. I don't have much runway. So if I see Goofy coming towards me and he's going to interrupt my day, he's like, Michael, what do you do in Canada? I'm like, I'm a world building supremacist. And then silence. You don't say anything after that. That's the key to selling. State your price and shut your mouth, my dad says. State your price and shut your mouth. How much is the world building mastermind? It's $9,997. Great. How can I pay? How much is your champions mastermind? $30,000. One pay. Great. Could I send? Will you take a check? Credit card? How much is it for a private day of consultation with you? You come to me, 20 grand. 8-hour day. All right. Let me. When are you available? How much is it for your mastermind or for your newsletter subscription? $97 a month. Great. $197 for diamond level. My best guys. Oh, okay, great. I want that. And on you go. State your price, shut your mouth. State your price, shut your mouth. Man, this video is a dog's breakfast. I'm only like 20 minutes away from home, and I got my champions mastermind today, Thursday. So that's like Christmas Day for me, right? I get to work with Bill Gaw and David Litton and Stephen Ivanko and Paul Nolte and Mark Andre and Leanne are really involved. I love coaching. You imagine getting up every day and you get to do what you truly love. It's a lot of work. I mean, I put hours and hours and hours into this stuff. Rob Boyd said yesterday on his hot seat, he had to put a PowerPoint together because he had to present to the mastermind members. He had to present for an hour. He said he put 20 hours into 1 hour PowerPoint. He'd never done it before. He said it was therapy for him. I said, how many hours? He said 20 hours for 1 hour of the mastermind. I go, welcome to my world. Mine is 16 to 1. 16 to 1. When I put on a training, whether it's a dog's breakfast or a mastermind or a speech, I put in 8 to 16 hours and for 1 to 2 hours. 16 to 1. Tom Brady could understand what I'm talking about. And now Rob Boyd knows what I'm talking about. Oh, Michael, you're so great at that. It seems seamless. No fucking shit. 16 hours to 1. 16 hours to 1. Like the great Jeff Dean says in his hot seat a couple weeks ago, what you do in private, you're gonna wear in public. What you do in private, what you eat, what you drink, what you think, what you consume in private, you will damn well wear in public. You are who you are when nobody's watching. Pickleball morning. I can't play pickleball in the morning. I got road work, I got sharpening the axe, reading and study, and I got Operation Money Suck. So when do I play pickleball? I play pickleball after school. Nobody touches the first 5 hours of my day. Nobody. Not Mark Andre, not Leanne, not to the dentist, not a doctor. Everything I schedule, phone calls, whatever it is, it's all. Look at my webinars, my mastermind members. The day is mine till 11 a.m. We get on at 10:59. So this morning is mine. I don't give it to clients. I don't give it to prospects. My magic time is from 6 to 11 a.m. That's my magic time. That's when I make it rain. That's when I work on myself. So that's my magic time. That's my deep thinking. That's what I call my deep work. When I write my newsletters, I write chapters in my book, I create content. This is my magic time, and nobody gets in the way of my magic time. So really, really important. Good morning. And then it's time to drive Emery to school. So that is that. So lots of rambling there today. I'm going to use that Tom Brady subject line today. Thanks for that idea. And that's a good one. God, my reward for getting up at 5:59 every day. I don't want to get up at 5:59. 75% of the time I don't want to walk. 75% of the time I don't want to write. 75% of the time I don't want to drink water. 75% of the time I don't want to do any of this stuff. But that's the difference between champions and chumps, is my day never changes. Whether I feel like doing it or something is irrelevant. Tom Brady will tell you that. You think that he wants to get up and watch film on a Monday for 18 hours? No, he doesn't. And the second he doesn't want to do it anymore, it's the time to leave. And that's what he's done, I think, correctly this time. But pretty amazing stuff. If you don't want to do the work anymore, stop. If you don't want to do the work anymore, but I don't let my feelings affect me. I don't feel like walking, so I don't walk. Fuck that. I'm 32-0. After today, I'll be 33-0 with the Jerry Seinfeld calendar. You got your calendar up? You filling that thing? Your kids are watching you. Your wife's watching you. Your employees are watching you. You know, everybody's watching you. Are you a pretender or a contender? Fill that thing. Fill that thing. And if you're going to chase happiness, do it by saying no to almost everything and saying it by subtraction, not addition. That's it from Naples. Oh yeah, my reward is these sunrises behind me and in front of me. My God, it reminds me that I'm a speck in this entire thing and that life is a gift. And sunrises remind me that my job here now, especially at this point in my career, is to serve others. I'm just serving others. The money's important. The success is important. The personal sovereignty is important. All that stuff's important. But, my big reason why, my mission is serving 1 million men. So my reward for getting up and shooting videos, most days I don't feel like doing it, but I do it every day. I'm not run by my feelings. I'm not a little high school girl or a little high school boy. I'm not run by my feels. I get up and I do it. My day doesn't change whether I'm motivated, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, any of that stuff. I just get up and do the work. I've gone all in on the process, and it's all non-negotiable to me. It's all non-negotiable to me. Tom Brady would love and approve of that message. That's it. That's all. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.